Welcome, Get Speaking Gigs family. This is Tim David, and we are about to dive into today's session, which really has a lot to do with how I really got my speaking fee over $10,000 without losing any gigs. I want to walk through this process with you. I am on Facebook and YouTube streaming this live and happy to dive in. Let's get right to it. All right, I promised no awkward networking or icebreakers. We are literally going to get right into the content and share with you this process. I think when you get your fees up, that adds a ton of value to your business in so many ways. And let's dive right in. Number one, here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at how and why, first of all, we need to charge high fees before we can get to the how. We're going to look at what the research says about speaker fees, and I'm going to give you a specific checklist for what you need to do and what you need in place if you want to earn high fees. But let's first get that who am I and why should you listen to me bit out of the way. My name, of course, is Tim David. I am a professional speaker. And yeah, I actually do earn high five-figure fees for my speeches. I don't want to spend too much time on this. You'll see that's $7,250. It is a speaker deposit, which means half down. There's another check, and on we go. But here's the point. This is possible. I have no degrees, no fancy letters after my names. I hadn't written any books when I started out. I had no job experience of any kind other than being a professional birthday party magician. So this is a process that can work if you work it. Now, here's the big question. Why high? Why are we going to charge high fees? And the answer is because there is a big cost to thinking small. When you don't charge high fees, you lose money, and that number is actually multiplied. So you lose money every single gig you do. So let's say your fee's only $5,000 instead of $10,000. Yeah, you lose $5,000 per gig. Every gig that you did settling for $5,000 multiplies over and over again. Number two, you're going to lose gigs. Listen, they've got a budget that they have to use. If they don't use that budget, they lose that budget. So you will lose gigs if you are not priced high enough. You'll also be seen as a worse speaker. Who's a better speaker, the $10,000 speaker or the $5,000 speaker, right? You're automatically viewed and perceived as a worse speaker, whether that's true or not. If you don't charge enough, then you cannot focus on your clients. You can't focus on serving them. You can't deliver the high-end service that you know you're capable of and would love to deliver if you had a nice fat budget to work with. And by the way, you'll never get a $10,000 speech if you never ask for $10,000 a speech. It's just a fact of the matter. So when you are thinking small and charging small, there is a high cost to that. So let's charge, right? Let's charge. We used to say, if you love them, charge them. And hey, if you love yourself, you'll get what you are worth. If you charge more, then you get to work less. I mean, hey, it only takes 10 gigs at 10K to hit six figures. I'm no math whiz, but I think that checks out. You get better referrals instead of being stuck with the same old clients on repeat. If a lot of your business is being generated by word of mouth, then you are seen as whatever fee level you are currently at. And people, corporations are just like people. They hang around with like. So you get a group of people together, you look around, there's a lot of similarity. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And corporations and people who work in these corporate environments, again, are hang out with other people who are similar. So if they're paying 5K for a speaker and they start referring to their friends, guess what their friends are going to pay? So you're going to get better referrals when you charge more, and they treat you better than the low fee clients who nitpick over every penny and then somehow expect more from you. Besides, high fee corporate clients also have extra budgets, right? If they got budgets for 10K and above for a speaker, you better believe they got budgets for training and books and coaching and online learning and consulting and leadership development programs and onboarding programs, and on it goes. And that's a great place we can tap into to increase our budgets, our business and our bottom lines. And the truth is people, actually do like paying premium prices. I mean, think about it. They want to have confidence in the product. You don't want a discount surgeon, right? And a speech is a high trust, high stress transaction. They say it's something like firefighters is at the top of the list of most stressful professions. And then right below that, we've got event professionals. So there's a lot of stress in that, and they want to have confidence that you're going to show up and that you're going to rock the stage and deliver on what you promise. Hey, it also increases their enjoyment. If you buy a really, really high end bottle of wine, you actually say that the wine tastes better and you enjoy the experience more simply because of a higher price tag. You know what? Some people actually like paying premium prices so that they can be better than the Joneses, right? That is still a thing, even in corporations. Remember, corporations are just like individuals. In fact, corporations and companies and associations are made up of individuals. Go figure. And hey, listen, we already talked about this one. They like paying premium prices so that they can get that budget again next year. I want you to think about money in simply one way, because money to me is one thing, and it is an acknowledgement of my program's value. This was a huge mindset shift for me, a huge sort of just belief system change. Listen, business is about solving problems. When you solve problems, you add value, and people exchange money for value. Money is an acknowledgement, maybe even a measuring stick in some ways, of your program's value. Listen, if they put you into their checkbook, if they put you into their calendar, if they exchange their two most valuable resources, time and money, that means, that proves that they value you and your speech and your service. So money is that acknowledgement of your program's value. There's a corollary to this law, though, of course, and that corollary is if you don't charge, then they won't value. And if you charge little, then they value little. So it's very, very important to take notes here, to write this down, to burn this into your brain. Your keynote fee says a lot about you. This is based on research in some event professionals magazines, and we'll talk about some research and sources later on. Listen, when you quote free or $0, they think that you are desperate, that you're not a good speaker, and that it is risky to do business with you. Warren Buffett famously asked for an internship and said, "I will work for free." And his mentor basically looked at him and said, "Yeah, you're overpriced." It is a risk to hire someone, even if that dollar amount is zero. So they are looking at you as a free speaker and saying, "Oh boy, better not." Something's wrong. Under $1,000, they think you're just starting out. If you are between 1,000 and 2,500, they say that you're coming with a catch. Maybe you're going to try to sell your stuff from the stage, or maybe again, you're just not that good. 2,500 to 5,000, that range, they think, hey, all right, maybe they're decent, but probably a part-timer, right? Maybe not serious, maybe not all in on their business. But if you're 5,000 to 10,000, then they think, okay, we got ourselves a professional here. We have a peer. And we talk a lot about be a peer and not a pest. We talk about that in the Get Speaking Gig space. And that's another thing you might want to write down or burn into your eyeballs. Be a peer, not a pest. 10,000 and above, what do they think of you? Well, they think you're a celebrity or a bestseller, maybe even worthy of the red carpet treatment. Now, notice all of the information on this survey, the only information they had was a number. What's the fee? And they make decisions about you based on that number. So let's dive into our speaking fees checklist. Again, I did promise that we would look at exactly what you need to do and what you have to have in place, and exactly what took me over the hump to getting to a place where I'm over $10,000 for a single speech. Number one, you've got to have the right mindset. I mean, this is a word that's overused. You've just got to think about speaker pricing in the right way. And the key to getting your fee, of course, is being able to say it with a straight face. So that mindset also implies and also comes to the place where you're going to need to consider confidence, right? Confidence is a piece of the mindset puzzle. So we're going to take a look at a couple of case studies, if you will, a couple of stories. These are very, very brief, but you got to know that you are your first sale. And if you don't believe that you're worth that dollar amount, then there's absolutely no way that you'll ever convince anyone else that you are worth that amount. You are your first sale. Here's Megan, and she just briefly shares a bit of her journey and her experience in about 15 seconds or so. Here she is.
It's such a different mindset, and to make that shift, it is exciting because I feel like I never would have expected.
There, she said it, right? She said, it is such a mindset shift, and I never would have expected that I could confidently say that my fee is $10,000. And of course, as we know, Megan is doing very, very well at that fee range. Here's Mike, who says he had a similar mindset
Thank
shift.
you so much for coming. That was really great. Here's your check. I mean, those were the actual words as they gave me an envelope with a $3,000 balance payment. And I thought to at that moment, I thought, this is real. When you go to a conference that's a $5 million conference and they pay you $60,000, like, that fits. My brain is turned around to understand what that really means. So for me, I'm in a different place than I was even 3 months ago.
So love that story from Mike. He says, even 3 months ago, it doesn't take a long time to shift your mindset, but man, oh man, some people do stay stuck in an old thinking pattern about what the speaking business is, what people can get paid, and what the value really is to events that we appear at. Here's one more from Kathy, and she just has some evidence of mindset shift and really a lot of confidence. And I love this exchange right here. Kathy, I love it. Hey, any word back on that gig that you quoted 10,000 for?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I got that gig. That gig's done. I did that. That's over. Oh, you mean my other one that I quoted 10,000?
Yeah, again, you can hear it in her voice. She knows she is worth it. And she knows that 5K simply isn't enough. I mean, if you really, really think about trying to run a successful speaking business that is sustainable, that is predictable, that is reliable, 5K as a speaker fee is a real tough thing to justify. Really, I want you to think of all of the time that you invest. Forget about this time on stage. Yes, there's stage time, but also all of the travel time to get to that gig, and all of the time that you prepared slides, that you prepared, maybe interviewing audience attendees, prep calls. There are hours and hours and hours that go into that hour on stage. So time is a factor. All of the education, everything that you've invested in to learn the craft, everything that you've invested in to learn and develop your intellectual property, all of your prior speaking experience, you think that's something that people can just pay for a few grand? How about the energy output that you put on the stage? What is it that you leave? The blood, the sweat, the tears that you put out into every single audience because you're so passionate about your topic and your message and your story and the difference that you know it can make. You get up there and you lay it on the line, and you're going to do that for 5K. What about the value of your intellectual property? They get to take that and run with it. Every single idea that you share with them, they don't have to unhear it after a few months. They get it for life. So understanding the value of your intellectual property, start putting a price tag on that. What about all the tools, all the technology that you've invested in? I threw one more T in there. Don't forget taxes. You know, Uncle Sam in America, we gotta take our share, our fair share, right? So taxes will cut into that. Your software, again, the technology, maybe microphones that you use to basically ply your trade, right? The tools of the trade, those all cost money. Hey, if you got a staff, how are you going to justify bringing in a staff and paying a staff to actually scale to the level that you know you have the capability to scale to, and getting $5,000 per transaction? My gosh, inflation. Like, let's think about inflation. That fee that you set maybe 5 years ago, you know, $4,500, $5,000. Now we're looking at $5,500, right? Inflation alone eats into the value. And hey, I want to ask this. What does your A game cost? What is that number that's going to get you excited enough to show up as your full present self? And if you're getting that same old fee and showing up and thinking, oh, this is just another gig, then you are doing your clients a disservice. You don't ever want to be in a position where you're only showing up as a C plus or a B minus, right? And in order to get that level of excitement, sometimes, again, it's just the nature of the beast. I'm not going to put you down or say that it's unheard of that people get maybe even a little bit, I don't know, complacent. And then that's again when you know it's time to raise those fees, because you've got to bring your A game to every single client. And if you're in a place where you're getting complacent or not excited about the fee that you're receiving, it's difficult to bring that A game. And think about this: that number that you're quoting, that fee stands for forget everyone else. And that's the number that it's going to take for you, for that date, for that time, for that weekend, for whatever else that it is during your prep time, your travel time. You have to ignore everyone else, every other client, every other person in your life. You are giving that client your time, your energy, and your focus. And you are saying, forget you to everybody else in your life for that time. So 5K, I don't know about you. For me, that fee, that forget everyone else number, my kids, oh, that is not a high enough number. So we are not going to be thinking in terms of hourly. You may think $5,000 for an hour on stage is pretty darn good. I'll take it any day of the week. That's not how we're going to think anymore. This is a mindset shift we've got to make. We've got to think in terms of ROI, and here's why. Here's a realistic hypothetical. ROI, of course, stands for return on investment, and this is the language, of course, that companies use when they are looking at what they invest in. And an audience of 100 people who earn $100,000 a year. Again, a realistic hypothetical. If your presentation gives them just an average of a 5% boost in motivation, in productivity, in efficiency, then that means $500,000 for the company in ROI. $500,000. Do you think they can justify and be excited about paying you your $10,000 fee if they are getting $500,000, $500,000 in value, in a return on that investment? Even if it's a 1% boost, they are still only paying 10% of that 1% boost that they got. That's $100,000 in value, and you are only charging 10. I mean, it's a bargain. I also want you to think about this. Your hour on stage, hey, that's already costing them about $5,000 in salary just to have the people in the room. Those people are earning money to be there. They went to this work event. You think they're not getting paid? And yes, in fact, 5,000 is how the numbers work out, right? So, I mean, my goodness, if they're paying just to be in the room, zero speaker in front of the room, and they're already paying out $5,000. So they think about money very, very differently on a very, very different scale, and especially when it comes to talking about return on investment. So we've shifted our mindset. We've looked at it from their perspective. We realize that it's about the value that we bring and not just the hour that we spend on stage. And then the fear creeps in, and the fear says to us, what if someone else is cheaper? Number one, good. You don't want to be the cheapest anyway. When you find someone else cheaper, you can wipe that sweat off your forehead and say, thank goodness I am not the cheapest. I don't want to be the cheapest. You don't want to be the cheapest. When you find someone else who's cheaper, say to yourself, good. Number two, tell yourself that those clients who nickel and dime and try to save a few bucks here and a few bucks there, they're a pain in the ass. You don't want those clients. Let those cheap speakers service those clients and deal with all of the scope creep and the, again, nickel and diming and the tweaking and the micromanaging. Those clients are a nightmare, I promise. If someone else is cheaper, great. I mean, hey, you're trying to stop. You don't want to play in the wrong sandboxes anyway, right? You can only get booked in the right markets after you price yourself out of the wrong markets. I love what's going on in the chat. I see someone talking about the fee. High fee, forget everything else. Not just everything, everyone, all of the important people and clients in your life. You've got to forget them. Let them have it, right? Let those people have the lower fee gigs. We do not want to be the cheapest, and we dodged a bullet. Love those comments in the Facebook group. Let's continue on. Listen, Lexus owners don't even shop for Toyotas. And that means that unless you raise your fee dramatically, you won't ever see high-end clients, and they won't ever see you. Part of the way that we play in the sandboxes, part of the way that we get referrals to the higher levels is simply by raising our fees and doing so with confidence. There's always going to be someone willing to do it for less. What if someone else is cheaper? Get used to it. That is not an if, that is a guarantee. Someone will be coming along who doesn't know the right mindset, who doesn't understand the ins and the outs of the business, and they will be willing to work for pennies on the dollar. Let that not be you. So here's our little mindset recap and checklist for you. Once again, in our big speaker high fee checklist, mindset's really just the first piece. Confidence is just the first piece. Being able to say a high number with a straight face, just the first piece. Here it is. It's less about what you need to charge and more about what they need to pay. Never forget it. It's not about what you need to charge. I mean, it is, but it's less about what you need to charge, and it's more about what they feel they need to pay in order to get value and in order to trust and believe that you can deliver on their stage. It is more expensive than you think to run your speaking business. You're not just, again, trading dollars for hours here. There are investments that you make in your speaking business. There's time, there's taxes, etc. Think in terms of return and not expense. You are an investment, not a cost. Listen, that's why these companies became successful, is they think in terms of investment and they don't think in terms of expense. They don't think of cost, they think return. And when that mindset takes over again, you need to come alongside that same mindset and say, here's how my programs are an investment and not an expense. You want to get comfortable. You want to get comfortable with pricing yourself out of the wrong markets. Listen, money won't make you evil. All right. Success won't corrupt you. You are going to be the same person. Money just amplifies, it does not modify. So if you are broke and you are stingy, when you are rich, you will still be stingy. If you are broke and you're generous, you are going to be rich and generous when you're rich. So it is not a modifier, it is an amplifier. At any point, if you feel like fear of success is a thing for you, if you feel like all this talk of high fees feels icky or wrong in some way, then at any point you want, at any point in your growth journey, guess what? You can just stop. You can just decide, hey, I'll charge less, or hey, I'll donate and give away X percentage of all of the income that I'm generating. And I'll do so with a happy heart because, again, money is an amplifier and not just a modifier, right? And here's the other mindset tool and mindset tip. We talked about how like hangs around like. Well, guess what? If you want to adjust your mindset, there's no better way, no better path than hanging around people who get it, hanging around people who have the right mindset about money, hanging around people who make so much more money than you, and maybe even challenge some of your existing mindsets. There is no better way to up your thinking game than to hang around people who get it. So that is the first piece. Let's do a quick recap here. Speaking fees checklist. Number 1, the right mindset. Number 2, the right market. Listen, if you're trying to get $10,000 and you're speaking to high schools, yeah, it's possible, but that's closer to the ceiling. You're not going to walk in off the street like I did in the corporate market and command high fees. You're going to have to be a celebrity. So the right market will also obviously determine the high fees. And you know what? My world is pretty simple. It's pretty narrow. I do high fee corporate keynotes. I work for associations. I speak for corporations and small to medium enterprise and nonprofits, basically any group of people where those people go to work every day, right? Those groups, those organizations, I speak for those events, and those events have the budget. Yeah, I said nonprofits. Nonprofits got money. Don't you worry about it. So let's talk about what the going rate is in some of these marketplaces and where you can find out the data. Here's an old pie chart from Meetings and Conventions magazine survey. And the numbers may be a little bit different, a little bit skewed, but I tell you what, a lot of the research that I see coming out year after year after year really falls into a very, very similar pie chart. But what I think is very, very noticeable is that nobody even cares about less than 5,000. Like, there's no like, what's the breakdown between 1,000 and 2,500? What's the break? It's just like anything less than 5,000. Go over there in that bucket, right? So that's kind of like the point at which people start to maybe take you a little bit seriously, at least the event professionals. I also want you to notice that over 5,000 is the vast majority. It's this piece right here. Plus, don't forget this piece of over $20,000 a speech. And then anything under 5,000 is just this little sliver over here. And if you do the math and add all these numbers up, I don't think that they add up to 100, which means that there's probably some free gigs, free speakers mixed in as well that didn't even make the list. Here's a more recent one. This comes from the All American Speakers Bureau. That's their 2023 Speaking Industry Benchmark Report. There's a link if you're interested. Basically, this is an interesting number right here. The average speaking fees of experienced speaker respondents, $16,659.48. Okay. This is how it breaks down into, once again, anything less than 5,000. Just get over there in that bucket. You're not even on our radar, right? That's not even really like the number 5,000 is where they start when they're talking speaking fees. 5,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 20,000. Once again, from here over is the vast, vast majority, almost 80% of all the speeches booked over $5,000, right? Now you can see there's some $100,000 plus speakers. I think that may skew the this average right here. Another interesting fact, the average speaker fee, not just experienced speakers. I clicked it to highlight it and I advanced it. Not just experienced speakers, but all speakers, all respondents. Not that much less, $15,551.72. I need everyone to stop thinking that experience and time and paying your dues is what gets your speaker fee up. That is not what's on the checklist that we're sharing with you today. Experience makes a little bit of a difference, but between 15,500 and 16,600 is not that huge as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, there's some disclaimers. Keep in mind, every speaker runs their own business uniquely. Speaking fees sometimes are inclusive of additional requests such as travel and blah, 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 blah. Use this information, but you can also do your own research, right? So we can do research in a myriad of ways. Google is a place where all good research starts. Meeting industry associations, publications, blogs, podcasts, and conversations with actual humans, actual professional speakers, as well as people who hire speakers. Dive into the psychology literature, look at each specific event and research that. Do some trial and error. Basically, I've done a lot of this research for you, and a couple of things that I recommend. Number one, I don't recommend automation tools where you answer a survey and then it spits out what your fee should be. It's really, really difficult to have a tool that works really, really well for all speakers across all markets. So I don't recommend any kind of automation or using artificial intelligence to try to determine what an important number like your speaker fee is, because that'll turn out, basically here's what the average is, and you are not average, at least after listening to this webinar, this little live broadcast here. Hopefully you realize the importance of being above average and charging premium prices. So here's some of the research I've done. Here's some general Googling that turns out some articles like how much should you charge for a speech? That's a Harvard Business Review article. There's something, here we go. How much do keynote speakers cost? That's from the other side of the transaction from 2022. Meetings.net, you value your speakers, so why are you discounting them? I love reading about how my prospects and my clients think about speakers and speaker fees. I love, love, love getting inside their heads. So Google will help you to uncover a lot of those types of articles and discussions. You should evaluate them carefully, though. Look, when was it published? What's the year? Where was it published? Is it an industry magazine, an industry website? Is it in the media? Is it a blog? Who wrote it? Is there an agenda that they have that maybe they want to sell you something? Is there survey data that backs it up? What types of speeches and other factors, keynotes, breakouts, workshops, trainings, panels, et cetera, evaluate the information so that you know it's relevant. Here's one from Harvard Business Review. As I said, there's all kinds of different ways to evaluate and let you know, like, hey, this is legitimate, right? So that's a good one right there. It's not just HBR, it's the Event Marketing Evolution. So this is from the entire side of the transaction where the event professionals hang out. All right, meeting industry associations, that's next. And here's a bunch. If you want to screenshot that, be my guest. Join these groups, visit their websites, attend their events, shake some hands, kiss some babies, get to know some individuals who you can have some conversations with, take them to coffee and learn their side of the transaction. Don't try to sell yourself, just see if you can pick their brain. And yeah, pick up the tab on the coffee. Here's some publications that you can browse through. You don't have to get face-to-face if you're shy. You can just read Meetings and Conventions Magazine or BizBash or Meetingsnet or the Trade Show News Network or Event Marketer or Event Industry News, and on it goes. Dive into the other side of the transaction. Do your research. Hey, for the nerds, if you want to look into the psychology of pricing, here's a few book recommendations that talk about what the numbers, once again, say about the product and also how to position the numbers in the right way. Here's a couple of quick tips that I learned from these books. Number one, cost is a triangle, not a point. So it's not just the number that also involves, how much money, of course, but also how much time it's going to take to do business with you, how much mental energy it's going to take to do business with you. So if you can make your services easy to buy, and if you can be easy to work with and take less time and less mental energy, and if you can do the work of customizing your programs and your pitch for each client, that is going to save them cost, even if it doesn't save them money. Context matters. Look expensive, and we'll talk about that later. Fairness and value matters. Offer 3 packages. You'll mainly sell the middle. We'll talk more about that. Reduce the weight of your fee, says the psychological literature. Things like smaller fonts, end in a 9 or 100, right? So if your fee is $5,500 and you speak that out loud, $5,500, it sounds a little less than $5,000 because it ends in 100. And I know it's one of those little psychological tricks that doesn't really make a difference. And the answer is, of course it does. All the big companies play around with things like 1997. Hey, it's $20. We all know it. Do we? MSRP, this number, but today the actual retail price is, these types of tricks, quote unquote tricks, actually work to make the prospect, again, understand really what the value is that they're getting. So listing the package's retail value, let's say, hey, you know what? My fee is normally this, but because you're booking me in a slow month in August, then my fee is this. List out your normal fee before you discount it. That is a great way to set an anchor as well. And hey, listen, some people always go for the most expensive package. So saith the psychological literature. So that means maybe we should offer a Hail Mary option. Make sure you're prepared to deliver, right? Don't just promise the moon and then not be able to cash out that promise. You want to go ahead and make sure you can deliver it. All right, let's talk about researching a specific event. When you ask yourself, hey, what do I charge? What do I charge for this client? And you may want to ask yourself, oh boy, what do they have? Whatever their budget is, whatever their speaker budget is my fee. Listen, we'll talk. I think fee integrity is an important piece to factor in. They do talk to each other. You absolutely have to be consistent. But it is also valuable to understand that if this person is even worth your time putting together the proposal and the package, understanding and disqualifying prospects is just as valuable as, finding out, as qualifying prospects. So number one, whenever you research an event, obviously you want to start with, is this a scam? There's a lot of scams out there, a lot of people playing on the dreams of people who want to share their story and their message and become motivational speakers to inspire the world. Be aware of those scams when they say, hey, yeah, listen, we're just going to pay you $15,000 and you're going to speak for 5 seconds. And we just need you to make a quick deposit in here so we get your bank account information and then we'll refund you the difference and add on top of that your $15,000. Be very, very careful of scams like that. Be a good citizen of the internet, right? Listen, it's also not just about researching what they can pay when you're researching a specific event. Remember, it's about disqualifying them if they need to be disqualified, but it's also about researching what they can offer you in terms of non-monetary compensation and what you would be able to offer them in terms of added value. All right. So should you just ask what their budget is? No, I don't believe you should just say, hey, what's your budget? Because even if you have the best of intentions, they may think that you're going to adjust your fee based on that. And they've learned not to answer that question and to dodge and deflect. So you're not going to get a very quality answer anyway. Here's a quick hint when researching specific events. Call for speakers usually means free. And we want to be careful that we're not submitting hundreds of calls for speakers in hopes that we're going to get paid. Those call for speaker gigs are good so that you can leverage and showcase yourself if you're just starting out. But if you're trying to get paid, not the best way to do it. Let's look at researching a specific event's revenue. Think about their ticket price times the number of attendees plus sponsors and then minus expenses, and that's their speaker budget. All right. We'll give you an example. There is a Speaker Hub article that I cited earlier on an earlier slide, and I pulled this example from that. If there are 500 attendees who pay $300 each, that's $150,000. If there are 10 sponsors at the $10,000 level, 15 sponsors at the $8,000 level, and 20 sponsors at the $5,000 level, then the gross budget for the event is $470,000 minus 75% in expenses, and you've got yourself a total speaker budget of $117,500. Now, this $300 price tag is not an expensive event. This $117,000, yes, all speakers, all expenses, travel, etc. But if they're having 5 speakers, 20 grand is well within their budget. Here's a shortcut to doing all that research on your own. Just look at other speakers from previous year's events, right? So the same event, but last year, what was the speaker? Who was the speaker? What was their topic? What was their fee? And you can do some pretty, it's pretty easy to research a speaker's fee. And it's much easier to do that than to research an event's budget and get an exact number. All right, trial and error, right? Listen, first of all, if you do use trial and error as a research method for identifying what your fees are, stop saying that people won't pay that much. During your trial and error, you're going to run into situations where people say that to you. They say, oh, we cannot afford that. That is out of our budget. And it is going to maybe even color your expectation or convince you that, quote unquote, people won't pay that much. And the answer is yes, that person won't pay that much. That organization won't pay that. Does that mean people won't pay that much? No, your sample size is too small. You're playing in the wrong sandbox. Those people won't pay that much. You hang around a Toyota dealership and you ask them, would you pay $60,000 for a car? They're all going to say, no, man, I'm just trying to get from point A to point B. And then you hang around a Bentley dealership and you say, would you pay $60,000 for a car? And they'd say, no, we want to pay more than that. So if you say people won't pay that much, you're just in the wrong car lot. Listen, one no isn't an automatic fee lowerer, right? Just because someone says no at $10,000 doesn't mean that, I better lower my fee. That's not how we operate. We plant our flag. We say, this is who we are. And the people who want to come to us, and there are people who will be attracted to that, just like there are people who will be repelled by that. Hey, don't listen to ghosts. You might have got one of those no's 15 years ago, and I'll tell you what, it still haunts the same. It still hurts the same. But even we talked about earlier with inflation alone, that $4,500, that's $5,500. So don't let the old ghosts haunt you still when it comes to trial and error. Basically we want to use and temper our own experiences, and we want to really lean a little more heavily on the real research and the actual marketplace and what's going on today. So that is mindset, that is market, and understanding how to research the market and know what the market is paying. What is next on the speaking fee checklist? Because I got the right mindset. I finally got into the right marketplace after dabbling with high schools and colleges and realizing that corporate is the place to be in order to make those high fees. And I still needed more, right? It doesn't mean just because I had the right mindset and the right market that my fees got over 10,000. I needed more. I needed the right topic / solution, the right speaking topic and the right solution to organizations' problems. This is huge. Look, in any business, you've got to sell hamburgers to hungry people. You cannot sell camping equipment to hungry people. When you identify that the people are hungry, you offer them the solution to the problem that they are experiencing. You don't want to say to them, but Tim, I know that they're hungry and I know that they need food, but I'm really, really passionate about collectible trains. And I would love to try to offer my collectible trains for nobody cares when they're hungry about a collectible train. So we've got to be really, really specific and really clear that our topic is relevant and impactful in the marketplace. I don't care if you're a motivational speaker who has a personal story. What did you learn from your life experience that they can use to solve their problems? You've got to sell hamburgers to hungry people. And don't guess that just because you've got a group of hungry people that they're going to want your hamburgers. What if it's the National Vegetarian Society? And even if they are hungry, they're not going to take a bite because meat is murder, right? You've got to have the topic and the solution for the market that you are entering. So be very clear. Make no mistake. The wrong topic, you're out of business. The right topic, you have a chance. This is make or break stuff. If you're not solving problems and adding value, remember, I said this earlier, business is about solving problems. When you solve problems, you add value, and people exchange money for value. So let's look at some of the research on topics. Man, I got off a little, I went on a little rant right there. Wahaha. Choo choo. That's right, the toy train. Selling vegan burgers. Love it. Solving problems adds value. Yes, yes, yes. I see you in the chats. All right, so let's keep going. Let's look at some of these popular topics. Now, look, this is 2023. There was a trending topic in 2023, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm already seeing early 2024 that is much, much lower on the list in terms of demand. And this is the danger in chasing trends. Now, that doesn't mean that even though, DE&I is dropping in popularity, obviously it doesn't mean that companies are valuing DE&I less, right? Again, I want to be very, very clear that this is still an important topic. But if you jumped on this bandwagon because you said, oh boy, people are making a lot of money in DE&I better become a DE&I speaker. I better book myself as DE&I. And suddenly that trend is now shifting. And by the time you got any momentum with that trending topic, the trends have changed. So we do want to stick with topics that are a little more evergreen: leadership, corporate culture, sales, innovation. These types of topics are evergreen. And I also think this particular survey might be a little bit skewed, right? Because motivation is a different topic to me than leadership, and mindset is a very different topic than mental health. But anyway, long story short, the data helps, but really you've got to stick with your passions. You've got to stick with what you are passionate about. And then you've got to package your passion in a way that solves problems for organizations. And my topic when I started speaking, and when I really doubled down on my passion of human connection, there weren't human connection speakers out there. It wasn't like a topic that people spoke about. It was just my passion. And then I positioned it in a way that human connection helps leaders. Human connection helps salespeople. And I have one topic with multiple speeches and multiple programs that deliver that content that I am passionate about. All right, so that is a little bit in terms of the right market, the right mindset, the right market, and of course, the right topic, the right solution. And I'm going to add to that the right packaging of that solution. It's not even so much what you speak about. It's really how you speak about what you speak about. And focusing and targeting and packaging your message as the right topic and solution to the problems that they're facing. Listen, they've got to feel, and you've got to feel like you have a topic that is white hot. in the marketplace right now. You've got to have that feeling that it's hamburgers for hungry people. And without that, again, you're going to really, really struggle to get the high fees. Let's now look at the right materials and the right positioning. This is the next item on our checklist, and we're going to start picking up the speed because I did promise about 30 to 45 minutes, and we're right about that time frame. And we're about halfway through our checklist. So the right materials and the right positioning, your demo video, your website, even just the language assets that you use, maybe your LinkedIn profile, the images, the headshot, your email, right? Is it so-and-so at yahoo.com or is it you at yournamespeaks.com? What do your materials say about you? How are you positioned in the marketplace? And again, when I started, I was a magician, a birthday party magician with no corporate experience. How was I going to speak to leaders on leadership when I've never done it myself? And the answer is that we all bring pieces to the chessboard. Some of us bring a pawn, some of us bring a queen or a king. I didn't have any degrees. Maybe you do, right? I hadn't written any books. Maybe you have. And what really matters is not just the strength of the piece, but where it is on the board. And the truth is, even a pawn can take down a king if it's in the right position. Same is true for a game of cards. If you're more of a card player, right? You got a hand of cards. Some of them may be strong. Some of them may not be strong. You've got to play the hand you're dealt. Let's look at the next way that I got over $10,000 a speech, and that is the proposal process and my negotiation process. Now, I put negotiation in quotes because I do not negotiate on fee. I do negotiate in how they're going to pay me. So they may pay me in cash, they may pay me in trade, but at the end of the day, they're going to pay me the value that I know my presentation brings. And I know that my presentation may be differently valued to an organization in April versus August. And again, it's different expense for me. There's more high demand. So there's a different value there. But my negotiation is absolutely positively not based on price. My negotiation, my fee does not change. What does change is maybe the terms. What may change is the added value. So if they're going to film my presentation and give me a high definition, high quality 3-camera shoot that I can start posting on social media and putting into demo videos, there's value to me there. And I can adjust the money in order to receive maybe some non-monetary compensation. That's my negotiation process. And that is embedded into what we call our inquiry to income, right? The 5-step sequence that we take every single inquiry to. When they say, how much do you charge? We don't just give them an answer. We have a proposal process that is 5 steps, and we walk through that process every single time, and it uncovers money that even the prospect didn't know they had, and it uncovers value and opportunities for us to work with clients in creative ways. So that proposal process, again, that 5-step inquiry to income process, I would absolutely hands down say is a big, big factor in how I got to 10K and above. Here's probably an even bigger factor, the package options. So I offer a small, a medium, and a large. And when I started doing this before I got to 10K, and I was afraid of quoting 10K because I was afraid that I was going to lose gigs, then this was my salvation. I didn't quote the fee over the phone. I said, I'm happy to get you that information. And I'll put together a proposal with a few different options. How does that sound? They say, that's fantastic. So what I do is I send them a proposal with a small, a medium, and a large. The small is my current fee, so that I know I'm not going to lose the gigs that I'm currently getting from word of mouth. I know that that small fee is going to be a net that I can use to catch this client maybe. And that fee is, that small package is just the speech. Then I have a medium package, which might be the speech plus a workshop, right, at the event, maybe a breakout session after my keynote, and maybe even some books, right? And that medium package is going to be the new fee that I hope to charge, but maybe a little nervous to charge. So maybe you put that at $10,000. And then we put in our large package. And this is really should be called the extra large package. This is that Hail Mary attempt. This is where you throw in any conceivable value that you can add, not just to an event, but to an organization. Think partnership. Think long-term. Think consulting and coaching and online courses and books and training and workshops and keynotes and extended, putting you on retainer, all kinds of ways to turn your services into dollars. Imagine they had a blank check and they said, we've got this problem. What would you do to fix it? And you just make a list and you just create this mammoth motherload package. And guess what? Most people take the middle package. Some people take that ridiculous high-end package and you're set for the year. You can focus on that one client. You can roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty and really help those people. And do so knowing that your finances are taken care of. That one contract might be 6 figures. So these package options, the small, the medium, and the large, I thought my fee was $5,000. The middle fee was $10,000, and a bunch of people started taking that. Well, damn, I better make that my small package. And I better put the middle package at 15 or 20, and then I put that high package at 100 or 150. So again, these package options are the secret to being able to raise your fee, being able to fix your mindset, because once people start taking those larger packages, your mindset starts to change real quick. You start to get less and less and less excited about booking gigs at $5,000. I promise you that when you start booking $10,000, $50,000 packages. So package options, very, very important. And if you stayed to the end, then that hopefully was worth it for you. You also need this. You need trustworthiness. You need to be able to prove, to demonstrate that they're safe in your hands. That high stress of booking a speaker and planning an event is, you're not going to let them down. This comes back to, again, websites and testimonials and reviews and, again, word of mouth and how they heard about you. All of that adds up to, do they trust you? And if they don't trust you, I don't care what the fee is, even if it's free, you're not going to get the gig. If they do trust you, you've got a chance at those high fees. Here's the thing, though. I think the number one way that got me over $10,000 a speech, right? And it's tough to decide. It's tough to pick. You need all these elements, right? But maybe the number one factor that got me over $10,000 is what I call the right leads. And it's not just the right market, right? It's the right leads. Because again, the corporate market, corporations are as unique as individuals, and there's all kinds of different organizations and events and styles and sizes. So what I needed was the right leads, the people who play in that sandbox. I needed to have conversations with those people who hire speakers at that level, and I needed a lot of them. Leads raise fees. Leads raise fees. When you've got enough people in your email inbox, when you've got enough people filling out the forms on your website or even sliding into your DMs on LinkedIn, when you have enough leads, you can raise your fees as high as you want, because you got 40 people in line waiting to give you money. Speaking of numbers, speaking of money, let's look at the numbers. Let's sum this all up on one screen. These are the numbers behind what it takes to get booked as a $10,000 speaker. This is the numbers behind a 10K talk. Here we go. 10K. That's the number you need to quote. It's got to be one of your packages. If they don't have an option to give you 10,000, guess what? They're not going to make up that option on their own. They're never going to say, hey, I know that you charge 5,000. Is it okay if we give you 10? Okay, that did happen to me once when I was a mentalist and I said, I need to charge 1,000. She said, can we give you 2,500? We need the budget next year. Because there's something else you can add in. We just got to write the check for 2,500. So at the lower fees, that may happen. But again, you got to quote it if you're going to get it. $10,000, that's what you need to quote. $20,000, that's what you need to look like. That's what people need to think your fee is based on your materials or your reputation preceding you. And if you only look like a $10,000 speaker and you're putting your hat in the ring and competing with other $10,000 speakers, then you're not going to be very competitive. But if you look like a $20,000 speaker and then come in and say, my fee's only $10,000, now you're competing with the other $20,000 and above speakers. And, suddenly your $10,000 price point looks pretty darn good. So if you want to get 10K, you got to look like you're 20K. Your program better add 100K in value right? So this is an easy no-brainer for you to be referred. And when you are referred and when people are seeking you out, when you've got the right kind of leads, fee goes out the window. They don't want a speaker. They want you because they know that you add value to their events. They know your energy, your enthusiasm, your excitement, your reach, your presence, whatever it is, adds that $100,000 in value. Man, oh man, they're going to want a taste of that. 10K is what you need to quote. 20K is what people need to think your fee is. 100K is the value you need to add. And $9,999 is the number that you need to say no to. We're not fully and authentically a $10,000 speaker until we're willing to say no to $9,999 or trade value equivalent, right? We've got to be able to say no. We've got to draw the line in the sand and plant our flag and say, this is who I am. These are the people I want to do business with. This is who I'll say yes to. This is who I will say no to. One more number. Dozens. Dozens. That's the number of other leads waiting in line to book you, giving you FU power. FU stands for fee up, people. Relax. That's the fee up power. Once again, if you got dozens of people in line waiting who don't want a speaker, they want you, and they're banging down your door, that's how you get to $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 for a single speech. Leads raise fees. Hey, I'd love to help with this process for you. I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours or so. In fact, even a little beyond that, if you're watching this on the replay, about how you might be able to apply these ideas to your speaking starting today. And whatever your biggest challenges are, I promise I've seen it. I've heard it. I've seen it all. I know how to fix it. This is something I eat, sleep, live, and breathe every single day. I want to work with you to create a step-by-step plan for hitting that speaking goal, whether it's a number goal, whether it's a number of gigs, a fee level, whether it's six-figure contracts, or just reaching a wider audience with your message. I'd love to help you with the attracting the kinds of gigs that you want piece instead of chasing them down like dogs, helping you to be a peer and not a pest so that people are requesting you specifically. Of course, the cost for this is absolutely free, and this has got to be specific fit though, right? It's not just about the cost. There's time, and I need you to be a fit for this, and that person who's a fit is someone who has knowledge or a story that can be used to help solve a major life or business problem and could command a premium fee. I need someone who must be a doer, right? Someone who follows through, keeps promises to themselves, someone who is driven by a desire to help others. Look, we've been talking a lot about money, but don't forget the speaking business is about serving. The speaking business is about serving. And if there's one big secret to getting high fees as a speaker, it is to deposit more than you withdraw. To give, and give some more and serve your audiences and heap value upon them and make it so that your fee is just a drop in the bucket. You've got to be driven by that desire to help others. If that's you, book a session now. I do these sessions because first of all, I love helping speakers, and helping speakers to help more people really is a ripple effect of impact that makes me feel good when I put my head on the pillow at night. Quite honestly, I can't get enough of it. I love working with speakers. You people are my people. Plus, I also know that you may want my help to transform your speaking business. If so, we can, discuss that too. If you think it's a good fit for both of us, if not, totally fine as well. Once again, the call is free, the time is free, and would love to have you set up a time. And here's the link to do it. GetSpeakingGigs.com/apply. Spaces are indeed limited. Please sign up now. So I very much appreciate all of you who joined us live on the stream in Facebook and who joined us live on the stream on YouTube. Let's get this baby back up on the screen for you. And I'm going to quickly scroll through the chat. There's a lot of activity in here. I appreciate you jumping in there and participating as well, and see if there's any questions or comments that need to be addressed before we wrap up the stream. And hey, you know what? If not, then bring your questions to me directly in your session. Would love to chat. And these sessions are booked 45 minutes or so. It takes time to get under the hood of your speaking business. We hold it up to the light. We say, these are the 7 dials that you can turn in a speaking business. These are the only 7 dials that you can turn. that can increase your business, decrease your business, make your business go sideways every which way you want to do it. But these are the factors. These are the difference makers. Let's hold your business up to the light. Let's see where the gaps are. Let's see if there's a fit for you in the corporate space for high fees. And if so, let's draw out and map out the path to get there. Look at where you are, look at where you want to go, and then draw a straight line between the two and avoid the obstacles in the way that we know are going to crop up. So that is it from me for now. We will speak soon. Take care and catch you in my calendar. All right. Speak soon.